Hello, and Rich Rising. So we're gonna wait on Gina and Madeline to join us here in a second. Today is the 14th. All right. Here's a King of Diamonds Day, right? Yeah, King of Diamonds. It is a Two of Hearts week, all right, which is the considered the soulmate card, all right. So whenever you're looking at this week or looking at this particular card, it only has one birth date, all right, um, for this particular card. And we're going to go over all the nuances of the Two of Hearts, all right. So just wait with me here for a second. Thank you for joining. Happy Sunday. Peace and love back to you. All right. And I am appreciative that y'all show up every week, at least if you're not here live, you tune in, you rewatch the videos, and you know, I can't be I don't think you don't know how appreciative I am because you don't have to be here. Hopefully, this information that we give you is valuable. Of course, you letting me know it's valuable. And so, like I said, I'm more than just appreciative. I'm thankful, um, and, uh, and just thank you for the opportunity. Like they say, you can be anywhere in the world, but you're here with me. Right. I will also be on the laptop today, so maybe we'll have a few more features today than normal. Hopefully, this morning as well. So I may be able to share the screen. I haven't been on the laptop version in quite some time, so let me trying to set it up now. But I am on a new internet service as well. All right, so one second, give me like a minute or two. Go get you something to drink. Open up your textbooks. And speaking of books, if you don't have any books or you're looking for material, really don't advertise it that much. But there's always a link in in my bio. All right, that's going to have all the textbooks and the information that you're going to need as well. If you want to read over and look at the context for yourself, read about yourself, or looking at the particular cards. Because whenever you're looking at the cards and whenever we're speaking about the cards, I know it's a lot more. I don't want to say complex, not just don't make it overly um, too complex, but there's different positions. We talk about the Mercury, we talk about the Venus card, and all of these particular positions play a role in the card itself, you know, and the energy that you're looking at, the energy that we're speaking to, you know, all it comes from the position of the card, all right? And that's Mercury, Venus, like the Two of Hearts, it has a King of Hearts in Mercury. So the relationships, the importance of relationships, the importance of his upbringing. You know, um, it can be a card that is very ideal in relationships. And to get context also about the Two of Hearts or the King of Hearts, you want to look at the living, breathing entity that represents that card as well. So you want to look up who is a King of Hearts. What does that look like? What's what does that look like? um, as far as being a King of Hearts and representing that energy. And the person that represents that energy I was listening to yesterday is DMX. And you look at the King of Hearts, it's the Father card. It's the nurturing. It's a nurturing card. You want to look at the cards that's also that is surrounding the King of Hearts as well. Like the Nine of Spades, the Six of Spades. Looking at those cards will tell you a lot about that card and the living, breathing entities of those cards. The reason why we come here because we cannot deny the science that is behind these cards, and it is quite flabbergasting as far as how the energies and the people are so much intertwined. Even if someone isn't looking or trying to be the energy on purpose, it ends up they end up representing the energy themselves a lot of times. So, one second, trying to log into this computer and get on, see if we can, so I can maybe bring up some examples of these cards. An example of the Two of Hearts, one that I seen earlier today, this morning, while looking over the card, is Charles, I believe it's Charles Goodyear. Even though I found out interesting fact, it was 15 years after his death is when that particular energy or that company was created. Even though he was the inventor of rubber, um, the formation of that company didn't come till 15 years after. Also, something interesting with that particular element in card is it was a lot of um, patterns of twos that also came with these cards as well as either marriages, 2 years. Uh, Let me see. Trying to say with the 2 years, I believe it was someone that was a political leader. Had a pattern of two as well. And one of the cards that has a lot of patterns are your sevens, like seven of diamonds. They always talk about the 7 years and 7 year progression as far as the seven of diamonds as well. But the Two of Hearts is a unique card. We also call that a billion. And I'm back. We also call it the billionaire energy as well. The relationships are very important. All right. And let me see where my colleagues are. So just a second. I'm going to go out and text. Into the cards of the family. You're speaking about the surrounding cards. Yes, the cards, the patterns I've seen cards in the family isn't as much as, let me see, evident when you looking directly. Sometimes you have to look at these solar squares, um, and we really don't talk about the solar squares too much, even though that is where we get all of our information from as far as the patterns of the cards comes from the solar squares.
Hey, Rashad, no Gina today?
Example. Sure. Yeah, she didn't text or respond. Let me see.
Yeah, I didn't see her either. All right, I'm sorry. So keep going.
I'm
I'm
on
happy
my
to
cell phone.
join the class
Trying
a
to
little
load
late.
my.
Huh?
Let me see.
He's coming. So what are you talking about?
Uh, just the patterns within the cards, and certain, and JLo was speaking
Are you frozen?
about the patterns. I was talking about.
I'm just gonna move the
Yeah,
computer up.
maybe frozen. I mean,
I'm here, just moving myself to a better position.
Maybe she can just do this. See about it?
I don't either.
It's just like costing me on every they want to do I did it.
Oh, I know. It drives me crazy. Oh, I'm on speaker, Miles.
All
right. So I guess Rashad is missing in action. And we're looking at patterns, and he'll be right back.
Okay, I'm trying to bring my other camera up. Hopefully this area is good enough.
Sorry, Rashad, you disappeared, and I got a phone call, and then a weird space noise came in. And if your phone is near the laptop, it causes some friction, oddly. I had to move my phone many times. And Marika, Rich Rising family. Now he's muted. Rashad, can you hear me? Rashad, what's going on? All right, well, we're live, so I'm going to speak until Rashad can, I guess, because we're live. So I was, I can't hear you, bro. I was thinking about the 2 of hearts into the 3 of hearts, and I'm going to build off of that king and queen story that we were telling last time about the king and the queen being able to be in some kind of harmony and balance with each other, and the value of that and the need for that in order to grow the ability to be neutral as a 3, right? Because you have all this loving energy, you have all these desires to connect, and then there's all these protective systems that become part of our stories, if you will, because we don't always see nice things happen to people when they fall in love or pick a side or things like that. Or men and women have been on a certain kind of like dynamic of dominance and he-she games. So that too is so much about, can you harmonize that male and female in you? Can you accept love and receive love and give love? You know, can you find that balance? And then that 3 to me is like, now that I can accept these things as they are, I can become more neutral and grow towards my unique star, like, which will bring you to your 4, where you'll have a foundation for your legacy, you know? So I've been thinking about the 2 and 3 like that, but I'm so curious to hear what Gina has to say, because she's in a 2 of Hearts year. I'm in a 3 of Hearts 52 day, but I'm just curious to hear what you guys will say, because I would imagine that the patterns that Rashad's talking about is how certain cards kind of hang out together, or you transform certain ways. I know the aces and the 7s, Gina's always talking about that one. And so I'm not sure where he was going or why his voice isn't working, but that's what I can offer to keep us going in direction. I can now. I can hear you. Well, turn off your microphone. Your microphone's off, but when your microphone was open, I can hear you. But now you're frozen. Go ahead. Your microphone is closed now. You have to open your microphone.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay. Yeah, this signal isn't too good. Like I said, I was saying that I was in a new location.
Yeah.
So it's a new connection. I'm not very familiar about the sturdiness of this internet provider and where I am, but I'll try to use it a little bit as much as I can while I'm here. But yeah, I was speaking about just patterns as far as people in the cards and being able to see and understand just the people in the patterns, and analyzing, I guess, the card based upon, you know, just real world people, you know, and how these particular templates seem to show up within people authentic selves, you know, whether or not they know it. And also some of the 2 patterns that I've seen as I was looking at the cards and the certain people that I've seen, and that goes into like politics. Charles Goodyear was a 2 of Hearts, if I'm not mistaken. Pretty sure, 100% correct. And as far as marriages and relationships as well, you know, how many relationships they may have, those certain numerical patterns that I seen or that may have showed up within the
Miracle
cards.
patterns? What do you mean? Miracle patterns?
Just based on like 2 marriages or just, you know, 2 years with doing something in particular, or and those type of patterns.
Like during the 2 of Hearts, like when the 2 of Hearts is there, that kind of magical stuff happens. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, just the people in itself, like maybe having 2 wives, you know, or 2 failed marriages or something like that. Just little weird stuff. You're like, oh, that's kind of weird. They're 2 of Hearts, right? And they are with 2 marriages or 2 wives, or, you know, certain patterns like that, or the 7 of Diamonds. Like has like a 7-year pattern, you know, that comes with them. And I was trying to see what JLo was meaning when she was talking about the patterns that she had seen as well. When she speaks about the cards of the family, I was saying that the grand solar square is where we get all these patterns from, or how we look at some of the patterns as far as the relationships within families, you know. Like I have a 2 of Diamonds brother, you know, as a 3 of Diamonds, and the 2 of Diamonds sit together in the spiritual spread. And so some of those, like seeing the relationship and how closely people are related, and how people come up in each other's lives, or the 3 of Diamonds and the 4 of Clubs. I have seen that in real life, right? You know,
like as a union, like a 3 of Diamonds, 4 of Clubs.
Right. As people come together as a union. I've seen lately a lot of people have been the 5 of Clubs. The Queen of Clubs has been asking me about the 5 of Clubs, you know. So those are just family patterns. When I think of family patterns, that's what I'm thinking of. But I'm not sure what Jay was speaking of. So I was saying, when you're looking at the grand solar square, there's a lot of times is where you get those patterns that from and those relationships, so you can see those relationships. And we really don't speak about the grand solar square too much, which is right behind us as well. So, and a lot of times the two of hearts, you'll find them in relationships. I'm talking about relationships and marriages, and
Well, they're the ones that
love.
go with the Ace of Clubs, right? The two hearts, Ace of Clubs. Isn't that the way that card goes?
Yeah, I was gonna say love and idealistic relationships. They sit Venus, Neptune is the position that they sit. If you can see that right above me, um,
Yeah.
I don't know if it's my mouse. I don't know, but Venus, they sit. Can I make it be able to draw? Well, you can see it though. Two of hearts, right? Top left. Well, you're maybe your top right. They sit Venus, Neptune, so it's idealistic relationship of being having this fantasy about relationships and not wanting to be alone a lot of times. So it's very much it's very always kind of easy looking at them. You're gonna see the pattern of relationships or them isolating themselves or from someone. Having very strict boundaries based on this particular this meticulous ways that they may have within relationships or having these high standards within relationships, right? Um, or just some of the patterns you can see. And again, we get all of this from the Grand Solar Square and the way that these cards are placed a lot of times in the relationships that come about is because maybe someone is in their line, okay? And when I mean their line or their set of cards, let me move us maybe to the side.
Oh, so you're saying like because they're in their line, that's why the relationship comes to be, because you kind of have a something to play out or something to live through, or there's a way that your energies are going to come together for some kind of alchemy if they're in your card hand or in your line. Is that what you're saying?
Correct.
I love it when I get the right answer from the professor.
Okay. All right. So I guess we'll go over this today. I don't really talk about it too much, but when I mean that, the Mercury card for the Two of Hearts, the way that you read the Grand Solar Square is from right to left, okay? And you're going to read King of Hearts, it's the Mercury, Venus, the King of Diamonds, Mars, the Six of Hearts, Jupiter, Four of Clubs, Saturn, the Two of Diamonds, Uranus, the Jack of Spades, Neptune, the Eight of Clubs is going to be the Neptune. The Pluto is going to be the Six of Diamonds. The reward, the Four of Spades. The cosmic lesson is the Ten of Hearts, the Moon, the Ten of Diamonds, and the transformation of the Two of Hearts is going to be the Eight of Spades. With albeit within that card's line or within their spread. All right. So you may
So
find
the
those.
2 goes to an 8, huh? The Ace 2 goes to an 8. It's interesting.
Yeah, which is power, which is industrialism as well, working around groups, working around social contacts, information, knowledge expansion, hard work. A lot of the hearts, as Gina was speaking previously, transforms into spades as well. So there's those type of patterns and relationships, and we get is all from this Grand Solar Square, which you can't see. I may be able to adjust it one of these days. I'm not going to do it today, but only thing you can't see is the other spread right above us is the Mercury line, is where all the hearts start in the spiritual spread.
I'm
Yeah,
also thinking how the 2 of Hearts is the Saturn card for the 7 of Diamonds, and it's that ability to like stay with yourself and do what you're here to do and build your bridge, but still have love in your life and not overgive. Very interesting.
yeah. That's one of the lessons of the Two of Diamonds. Is more of working on relationships. Saying that the Two of Seven of Diamonds are idealistic in relationship. It's more or less, I won't say they have relationships problems, but yeah, the Seven of Diamonds have to make sure that they always stand in balance, um, and I guess you say not over giving, but also being sympathetic and working with people and actually having can actually go into sometimes healing arts, I guess you can say, creating these close bonds with people. The Two of Hearts is seen or deemed as a mystic, can go into psychism as well. And they too have to kind of watch how they get in contractual relationships. But Two of Hearts love relationships. You know, they always want to be with someone. So having that card is where you want to find your issue, maybe within relationships or where you being or possibly could be idealistic.
Mm-hmm.
Venus is exalted in Neptune, you know. So whenever you're looking at that position, is an exaltation and something that could be expanded or overly done.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, good morning, Gina. I'm glad you're here.
Good morning, guys. How's it going?
Well, we're kind of like floating around looking at things. We talked about the 2 and the 3, and then we started, Rashad started just going into the 2 of Hearts and the actual spread of the 2 of Hearts and what it is, like what the path is and stuff. So it was a little choppy opening with sound stuff, but now we're landed and we're in.
Awesome. Yeah, my little one went with her dad. Yesterday was the big one's 18th birthday.
Oh, wow. Happy birthday, Mama.
Yes. And it's this kid. So there were no plans because I didn't want to plan anything for her because what do you want to do, right? And so in the morning, because originally she wanted to get up and watch the sunrise, go to the beach, but the weather hasn't been very cooperative. We've had a lot of rain, a lot of clouds, and it's cold here. So kind of not too mad that didn't work out because I didn't have to be up at the butt crack of dawn.
Yeah, it's like, oh, darn, I don't
have and drive 45 minutes to an hour to the beach. So she decided she wanted to go to breakfast. So we got up. She went to the gym, and then we went to breakfast. And then we went to the mall. And if you know me, I'm not a mall person. I don't like being at the mall. So there's that. And we did that. We walked around the mall and let her shop. And then what did we do? We came home. We took a nap. And on the way home, she said, Mom, I'm 18 now. I can go to the club. I said, well, yeah, that is a true statement. You should come with me. For my first time, I want to go to the club with you. I said, you've got to be kidding me.
Well, at least she wants to take her mom.
Yeah, she did. And we literally got dressed and we were going to the club. But funny is her friend who came with us, our neighbor, who they're best friends. We're literally finishing dinner. And we like, all right, let's go. And if it's not anything fun, we can leave because I have no problem with that either, right? Gina, she dressed me. She made me wear her like I was not allowed to wear any of my own clothes.
She's trying to marry you off, dude.
Right.
She dressed me. I wore her dress and a jacket because it was cold. And it's so funny. So we go to dinner and we're getting ready to like get done. And her friend didn't have her driver's license because she didn't drive. So she didn't have her keys, which had her license. So we couldn't go even if we wanted to because we wouldn't have been able to get in. So we ended up not going. But apparently we're going to attempt to do this another time. But the funny thing is like,
do you need pictures of these things, Gina? Next time you get dressed by your daughter, please send me the picture.
Yeah, I know I have some. She's very much about taking pictures. We posed outside. It was just whatever.
Oh, good. I'd like to see that. Forget it.
But it was so funny. She's like, yeah, like I want you to come to my first time at the club. I want you to be there. And the crazy thing is I used to work in clubs, nightclubs. I've worked in bars, so that's not anything that I'm not unusual with. But it's been like, they were like, when's the last time you were in a club? I'm like, probably 11 years ago, 12 years. How old is your sister? You know what I mean? Like, So, but we went to dinner. That was fun. It was me, her, and her friend, and it was fun. But she kind of wanted like another one of my friends to come, so I wasn't just stuck with them two.
Speaking of that, I guess that is like the two of hearts.
Yeah.
And speaking of the two of hearts, the companionship, having people close by.
Yeah.
I was talking about idealistic relationships, but having the ideal partner to go with you and tag along and be with you, while you're enjoying events, right?
Oh my God. I'm pulling out different outfits. She's like, no, here, hold on, come here. You're gonna wear this.
That's awesome. That's
Oh
awesome.
my
That's
God.
good sister love, right? That's like a transition. Like it's like let's pal out. Let me just help you look cool, and you help me look cool. That's nice, Gina. It
was fun. It was fun. This last week with her and I has been really good. But prior to that, she tried to test her whole, when she can come home, because now she thinks I'm 18 and I can come and go as you please. Well, sweetie, did you think something magically was going to happen with your mom that was going to be like, oh, sure, go do whatever you want? Have I ever, you've been with me for 18 years. You know me better than that. Don't even try it. And she thinks she's slick. She has this very strong opinion about me having her location. Right. And it's been a battle. And so
dude,
finally,
that's authority stuff. Come on, dude. That's authority, no?
No, it's safety. I don't track where she is.
For her, it feels like you're taking her authority. That's all right. I know it's for safety, but
yeah. So, it's the non-negotiable. If you're gonna live in this house, it's how it's gonna be. And so that's been a battle. And so then she gave me her location, and like I said, I don't ever check it. But the other night, she was at the football game or the basketball game, the boys' basketball game, and I sent her a text, and I hear a ding in my house, and I'm like, did she forget her phone? I doubt that. I remember seeing her with her phone is surgically in her hand. You don't forget her phone. So I'm like, her sister, I'm like, did you hear that? She's like, yeah. I go, she said, send her another text, ding. I'm like, huh. So I called her. I'm like, do you have your phone? She's like, yeah. I was like, I heard a text. She's like, oh, there. So apparently she has another phone. And but she has that location on it shows her still at home. But it took me an hour to figure it out. So I sent her a text. I was like, I know you don't think I'm smart, especially when it comes to technology, but don't you ever try to play me, because I sent her a snap screenshot of the location. I said, that's not the move to try to play me. And the way she responded back, so mad that I'm accusing her. I didn't even respond. I was like, you're caught. You're blatantly caught, yo. So I got her real location now. I was like, you think you are so slick. So yeah, that's been but yeah, she's a trip. We got to get her a car. She wants to work more because she's finished school. She's done with her high school. She doesn't need to go to classes anymore. She finished out. She'll walk in May, but she doesn't have any more classes. She only needed 3 to graduate, but she finished. So she wants to work until she goes off to college. I'm like, you should go. Yeah, go to work.
Nice.
But yeah, that's been my week, and getting ready for the 18th birthday, and just kind of letting her choose what she wanted to do and have a good day. It was fun though.
Happy birthday to her. I don't know
Thank
if
you.
you said it, but she's the Ace of Spades, correct? So her birthday was yesterday.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So y'all went out yesterday for a birthday, or what day y'all went out? Yeah.
I had to Google the clubs because I don't know any clubs here. I don't go anywhere. I don't do that anymore. It's not I barely and that's the thing. I don't leave my house that much, especially at night. I'm the type of person, once I come home for the day and the bra comes off, it's a wrap. I'm not going back out my house. So you have to catch me or it's just not happening. And even I was supposed to go to that boys basketball game. I was like, yeah, I'll come up and watch. She texted me. She's like, you ain't coming, are you? I said, no, I'm not. You already know I'm not leaving the house. So, but yeah, she turned 18 yesterday. And what's crazy is I believe she's my transformation card coming up this week for me. My new week starts tomorrow. And I think the Ace of Spades is my transformation card for the week. And it's funny because she was my transformation card, though, when I got pregnant with her. So it'll be the same plate.
I was about to say, I wonder, I'm pretty sure that's probably how it planned out when you got pregnant, right? Or when you had her, either or, right?
Yeah, that year that I got pregnant with her, she was my transformation card. And prior to me knowing anything about this, like, I've always said she saved me. She made me change my whole life around. I smoked a pack and a half of cigarettes a day, right up until I was a hardcore smoker, cigarette smoker. I partied. I mean, that's all I did. I partied. And I mean, I worked, but I worked in the bars. So it goes hand in hand, you know? So I got pregnant with her and I became the most like serious. I wouldn't take any medicine. Like I became I did a whole 180 with her. I changed my whole life. And now when I look back and I know that the cards and I went into the spread, I was like, oh my God, it's like the old me had to die to rebirth a new one. It's been 19 years since I've had a cigarette. Like it's the moment I quit them and I just found out I was pregnant, I've never picked it up again. And that's a big thing for me because again, I was a smoker, and to be able to quit that. And then she, you know, I just looked at her like I have to do whatever, like keeping, you know, looking at them as like pure, and anything and everything I would research. And, you know, I remember leaving the library with like 14 books on pregnancy because I needed to know everything about it and how to do this. And, you know, and I jokingly tell her, I was like, I had no idea what I was doing. I've been winging it my whole life here. So, but you came out pretty good considering. You know, and it's funny, as the Ace of Spades, you know, she was crawling at 3 months. She could literally pick herself up and cruise at 6 months. She took her first steps at 9 months. She spoke in sentences by the time she was a year old. I mean, when I tell you, I was like, what the hell? And it's funny because a friend of mine says Capricorns, they're a baby for a day. And she literally is that, like that. She was a baby for a day. She came, and that's how she's always been. Like in elementary school, she was already preparing for middle school. In middle school, she was already in high school in her mind. In high school, she's already been in college. So it's like that drive and that ambition that Ace of Spades has, man. And I'm grateful I found out with, you know, got into the cards because it's helped us, you know, tremendously because, like, you know, she wants to be up at, like, if she had a car, my daughter would be at the gym at 5 a.m. because she knows I ain't taking her. I'm not getting up that early. No way. But, but that's her, you know, very motivated, very driven. But I took her to the gym this morning. I don't mind feeding into her ambition because I know for her, when she's in this house or just anywhere where she has to be stagnant, it doesn't work for her. She constantly needs to be, you know, doing something. And that's why I'm like, we were talking yesterday about what she may want to do. I would never see my daughter like working at a desk because she would get like, she needs something that moves her body. She needs something to move that energy that she has. That's why basketball and sports have been really good for her. You know what I mean? And the gym is a great place for her. She wants to work there. I'm like, apply because that would be great for you. You know, until she goes to school. So I'm grateful for the cards because it helps to know your kids or people you share a space with, their card, because they're different. Like me, I could literally be in my pajamas all day. I'm very content not doing anything at times. Not her, you know, it's a different energy. So being able to support that helps.
The 5 of Spades, I think, with the Ace of Spades having that 5 of Spades, and was that Mars, Mercury?
Yeah, it's Mars.
Yeah. Like we said, it goes into the body, it goes into the health. We got to get out, move around, change the scenery, change the environment. You know, always improving upon yourself, development, or all those particular things. And it seems like that's what she brought to your life, right?
Yes.
She made you think about your health, had to change your stop smoking, self-development and looking at herself, she just rings all the cues for that within herself. So staying in a stagnant environment, it probably wouldn't be ideal, and maybe opposite for the Two of Hearts. The Two of Hearts has going to
Rashad's signal gets a little wonky.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go on my phone 1 second because this internet connection isn't well. I'm in a new location, so internet sucks.
Did you move?
He's switching to his phone, but I think he's definitely in a
It's a
different.
quick move. Hold on.
Quick move.
Oh, it's like an Airbnb.
Now there's two Rashads.
Now bring those two together.
Right.
You're gonna be solid, bro. And stand in the middle of them.
Why is one doing one thing? This is weird.
Yeah, one's frozen. The other one's frozen.
No, they're not.
Oh no.
What the hell?
All right, Rashad, we're gonna do the Two of Hearts healing on you now.
Okay. All right, I'm here. I'm here now. Right.
Okay.
We see you. We see you. We got you.
But yeah, I have the internet here sucks.
Did you hear that there was two of you and they were doing different things and we were trying to like marry them in the Two of Hearts and make you neutral?
Yeah, I was trying to play so it doesn't echo too much, or there's the little squeaky sound. But I believe what I was saying was the difference between the Ace of Spades and the Two of Hearts, with that Six of Hearts and the Five of Hearts in Mars. One has a Six of Hearts in Mars, and one has a Five of Spades.
Mm-hmm. Because my neighbor is a Two of Hearts. My daughter's best friend's mother is a Two of Hearts, and we tried to convince her to come out with us last night to our little, club outing, and she was like, "Nah." She was not on board. and that they both were amazed that I was. I was like, I mean, the fact that you want me to go with you, like, okay, okay.
And you were itching to go out since New Year's. Come on.
Yeah, I've been itching to get out.
You've been itching to go shake your booty. Come on.
Yeah, which I still didn't even get to do because we went to dinner, but it was fun. We ate so late because the reservation was so late. I even told them, I said, we eat this late, you're gonna have to really peel me out of here to get me to go and move. And it was cold. It was so cold last night here for where I am. So it worked out exactly as it should. I got to come home. But yeah, that Two of Hearts, she definitely and the funny, and I know that, usually there's always like they have a better relationship. Like her daughter can talk to me better than she can talk to her mom. And my daughter goes to her mom when she's mad, when we're dealing with stuff. So and they're both Capricorns too. So they have that dry. I never would have thought the Two of Hearts, when you hear that card, you think, oh, the Lover card. She's a beast. Like she's a beast. Like she's powerful. And I realize this though, King of Hearts, King of Diamonds, right off the rip. Like she takes no shit at all. Like she's like intense with it. And I you just hear the Two of Hearts, you're like, oh, it's the Lover's card. Whew. I have a real life example next door. And, she has a lot of guts, and I appreciate it. She definitely is very tough in a way. But at the same time, you see the hospitality. There's always so many times she's had people staying at her house, family members. It's like they're like a hotel over there, but in a good way. Like helping people in transition sometimes, and they stay. And they're always having parties. There's always something going on within their home, and there's a lot of people in and out. 'Cause they have a big family too, so and my kids play with my little one plays with her other two little ones at times too. So it's just literally between our two homes that they're in and out of, So Very much
also
about that,
very
the
community.
gathering of
Sounds
others.
like, yeah, it sounds like community too,
Yeah.
right? Like, you
Yeah.
know, like
Our
getting
kids, like we're like a extended family, you know
yeah,
what I mean? She knows that when her daughter's with me, like, she don't even gotta worry. Like she'll call her mom and check in. She's like, "Why are you checking in? I know you're with Gina. I know you're good." And vice versa. They've taken my daughter on vacation. Like they got an Airbnb one time, a house for a weekend. My daughter goes with them. You know what I mean? Gabby or her daughters come with us to the beach when I used to go and stay at the beach a lot. So every birthday, actually, it's funny, you know, Facebook gives you your memories. Every birthday, her daughter has been with us. My daughter's birthday, and vice, you know. So it's a good thing. It's been a blessing to be here to
yeah.
have them.
That's beautiful. That's
Yeah.
beautiful community, Gina. And it's so true, right? You sometimes need that other mother or that extended family or that community member to kind of help you come to Jesus, if you will, because when you're in the pattern with whoever it is that you're bumping with, it's hard to see past it until you get like a new frequency between you. And sometimes talking to a different person, it literally is like two different energies coming together, so you get a different outcome, right?
Yes, and I've had to call her and be like, "Come get your kid, my kid." Like, come get your other daughter because me and her are scrapping, right? Like she has come over here and has checked my daughter for the things that we've been through. So, oh yeah, and my daughter is terrified of her, and she's only like 5'2", tiny itty bitty thing, and my daughter's 6 foot tall, powers over both of us, and my daughter will not disrespect her at all, but she'll come at me like all kinds of sideways. I'm like, I'll call Carol. She'll come get you.
That's beautiful the
So
way
yes, it definitely has helped. And now both of the girls are 18, you know.
That's
Yeah.
a beautiful thing to share, Gina. What a
Yeah.
wise way that your life has been planted. I mean, part of what's been happening for me and having this time with you both is you watch people go through their transformations. You know, you watch this story. I mean, your daughter's stories have been part of our conversations for the whole time, you know, and to see you kind of come to this 9, you know, the light at the end of the tunnel, like you like to say, it's a nice thing to see.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. I've been sharing about her since Clubhouse. You've all watched her grow up essentially, you know, through me. But yeah, she's definitely it's been a very, you know, because you think back and it's like, I just brought you home, like 18, it goes so fast, you know. And there is that, I can see, you know, because it's funny, there are other people my age that their kids are, you know, turning, you know, getting into their adulthood, and you know, it's a shift from having to mother and take, and at the same time being able to let them go and figure it out on their own. But it's so hard because you obviously don't want anything to happen to them. You want them to be okay. And nowadays, like we talked about, she brought up human trafficking. She brought up, you know, what else is she were talking about something, you know, drink, like if you're out at a bar, and obviously you're not a drinker, so she doesn't really, like, she's not a drinker, she's only 18, but I mean, in my like being Italian, you drinking is, you know, you could taste, you could have as a child growing up. With her, she's never really been, I've offered it to her, you know, when she was younger, chase this, and she didn't really care for it. I don't think she wants anything that would alter the control she likes to have, to be honest. Because she talked about it, she's like, Mom, I don't think I would drink. I mean, I could see her, maybe she did. I remember she tried champagne at a wedding we were at, and I let her. I was like, go ahead, you can have some, because I would much rather you be with me, and then rather than out with people and you know, aren't you, like nowadays, like, you know, it's just different out there than I guess when we were out there. I don't know, but I do worry about stuff like that. But at the same time, I trust her to make the best decision for herself, because she's, you know, for her in basketball and where she wants to go and what she could do with it, I think she realizes you don't want to mess that up. You know what I mean? She has a really good opportunity to really be debt free, no student loans. You know what I mean? Everything would be is scholarship right now. So board and room, a free place to stay, and a free education. You can't beat that. So
yeah, and speaking of like the drugs and the alcohol, she sits Mercury Neptune, you know, so losing control of your mind, probably could be a scary thing, mind altering substances and those things, dealing with addictions and those things is like very sensitive for like a two of hearts and the ace of spades sitting in that position. Yeah, and I wouldn't say that's just an Italian thing. I think I'm from South Carolina. I've come from the country. So there were certain times, where alcohol or something was said or introduced, probably at an age people probably wouldn't think of or would be kind of taboo for other people, right? Um, but even looking at the cards, I think it's kind of important to kind of know what a card is for someone or a child or anyone, before introducing or looking at those things. Yeah, so you can kind of, because it kind of plays into the cards, even with the card is Venus, Neptune. So comfort and addictions plays into that card, your surroundings and are all important, so. And speaking of also the party and having people around in that family culture, I was speaking about the Mercury card of the King of Hearts. Of course, your house probably be a musical for the two of hearts, right? In the lighter sense. Um, so, so yeah, those Mercury years are a lot of times you can, I think, looking at the card or looking at the person is very important, kind of see where they are and seeing how they can develop within their home environment.
Mhm. Well, I have a couple of things that my tangential brain want to say. One was, yeah, my dad made wine, so we drank wine. And what I want to say is that you could feel the energy of the people change when they drank the wine. Like I remember as a little girl literally being like, oh, look, they're all happy. They're all doing this. I wonder what happened. And it was the wine, right? So I was like happy juice, like grape juice, you know what I mean? Like I didn't necessarily drink it much, but it was always a little cup of it offered to you at the table. You taste the wine too. But I can for sure say that even in all those years of bartending, what I tapped into as a kid even was the frequency of how they are uninhibited, how their water flows more, how they express more, how they're sillier. Do you know what I mean? How we're sillier. I mean, they like how we get sillier with the adding of the sugar, especially wine. Like something about wine, boy, it really hits our chemistry in a way. It's kind of like that mead that you make. So I find that there's definitely a shift in the frequency. Like I would say, like when I went to New Orleans, like it was like a bar frequency at New Orleans. It was like you were in a giant bar. You know what I mean? Like, because there's a certain way that when you're in the bar, there's a way it kind of feels. I know, like when I've gone into the bars recently, which I don't do that very often either, but when my son plays music, I go to the bar and I'm like, oh wow, there's like another whole like, oh, this is that energy. Like there's definitely something about the energy of alcohol.
Oh yeah.
It's uninhibited, right? It's a social lubricant.
I mean, we were like, my grandparents in New York had a bar in their basement. So
What was that?
Huh?
What was that cards? Or that was just that's the way New York is set up. I'm thinking like they had a bar in their
I think people had bars in their basements. Having a bar. I mean, when Philip and I were married, one of the things he got for his 30th birthday is we got him a bar. And he had like a way that he could like make drinks. That was a thing, to have your own bar at the house. Like, don't go out to the bar, have a bar.
And there's a picture of like everybody. My grandparents' house in New York was 1, 2, 3, like 4 level, but it was the basement just had an extra basement, if you will. So they had the main level and then just a little upstairs where some of the bedrooms were, or all the bedrooms were, and then a basement, which because my grandmother did hair, so the main basement was a beauty parlor. Swear to God, she had chairs, sinks, the whole thing. It was a whole beauty parlor. And then you went down another set of steps, and there was a TV. It wasn't big, but it had a TV. I'll never forget, recliners. And then behind that was a bar, a full on like bar, and all the grandkids, cousins. I don't know. I mean, I don't remember it, but there's a picture of us at the bar cheersing. And I don't think that the adults knew we were down there. We were just mimicking what we had seen them do.
Exactly.
And every family gathering, there was wine, there was alcohol. And I grew up, my dad always, I was like his little go get my beer, and I'm okay, and I like doing it because I would open it and taste it, So I've been drinking
What
beer
was
since
your
I could
grandma's card? I know your dad was the Ace of Diamonds. What was your grandmother's card?
Ace of Spades. His mother there's so many aces in my family. It's crazy. His mother, which I actually for the longest time thought she was the King of Diamonds, which made so much sense to me. But then I was like, oh my God, I had her birthday wrong. She's the Ace of Spades. And I still am like, there's no way. There's just no, it just doesn't, because I have my daughter as the example. But then I look at I'm like, well, I could see that too, because she's very powerful. So I could see both enter the Ace of Spades and the King of Diamonds. Because she's February 12th or 11th, one of the two. I think it's the 11th is the Ace of Spades.
11.
And then my grandfather, her husband, my dad's father was the King of Clubs.
Oh.
And they have, my uncle is an ace. He's the Ace of Clubs. My dad's the Ace of Diamonds. My grandmother was the Ace of Spades, and I birthed 2 aces. It's crazy.
They were a Jack of Clubs combined.
My aunt is a Jack of Clubs. I don't know my uncle, the oldest. I don't know his birthday, but I know that my grandparents, the Ace of Spades and the King of Clubs, birthed a Jack of Clubs, a 10 of Diamonds, the Ace of Clubs, the Ace of Diamonds, and I don't know what my other uncle's card. I don't know his birthday. I can find out, but I just don't know it off the top of my head. And then my brother is a 3 of Hearts, and he has a King of Diamonds and a 2 of Diamonds. Kids, and then I have the 2 aces. So a lot of ace energy in the family over here.
So much initiation for change, right? For new beginning, like so much alchemy potential in that mix, right?
Mm-hmm. But yeah, the alcohol, even between my mom's side of the family, it wasn't as much as my dad's side, but they, still was, either wine or, my grandfather, my papa, he definitely drank his wine for sure. And then I ended up working in the restaurant industry. I worked in I ran a wine retail store. I was a wine broker at one point in time. I literally was paid to drink wine. Now I don't drink at all. It's been like, since I really drank, it's been almost 4 years. And then it's probably been well over a year since I've even had a sip of alcohol. Like, I don't drink anymore. Once I got into this and I started doing this, really, there was something I remember, and I was telling my daughter about it too. I was like, yeah, one of her basketball tournaments, my dad had come up and we went to dinner after the game and we both had a drink, and I think I had a beer. And because I've never been a liquor, I don't do liquor. I've never liked liquor. I've never mixed. I would do shots here and there, but liquor just was not my, I can't. It's too much. I love beer though. I loved beer and wine. And we had a drink that night for dinner. I think I had 1 beer, and that night I couldn't, it was almost like it was fighting to get out of my body. It was like, it was like my body did not want that anymore. And that's when I was like, you know what? I don't need to drink. And I've been to weddings, I've been out. I can have the same amount of fun because I don't need alcohol, just some music. And I listen, you would think I've been drinking all night long the way I could party, but I don't drink. I don't want it. I don't like it. And I don't miss it because the next day is the worst. You feel like crap, and I don't have time to be in bed not feeling well when I got, stuff to do. So it's not my thing.
I mean, hearts are cheerful. I think one is the state of gaiety or something like that. Just being cheerful, lighthearted, is the hearts. And why do kind of like what Madeline was saying, it changes your mood, it changes your temperament, lightens the air,
I would cry a lot. I could cry easily when there's alcohol involved, and I don't even need alcohol to cry. A freaking commercial can make me cry. So when I would drink, it would intensify that.
Oh, you were the crier, huh?
I would cry and I'd get silly, like goofy, silly. I never got angry. Alcohol by one friend though, Jesus Christ, she'd be punching people. I'm like, what is your problem? You got some serious anger issues inside there. You be jacking people.
By the end of the night, I didn't drink much, but I definitely was affected. Like I was drunk. I was definitely in the energy of it. But I'd get like kind of sweet after I dance. While I was working, I was focused and I danced a bunch. And then I would be really sweet. People like, oh, Maddie's just slipping. She's just giving everybody the love, because I would just feel so at ease. So I'd be, giving up the love, just telling everybody the sweet things I saw. But not really crying, though. I would say I did more in angry land. But I never hit anybody. But, if I didn't want to talk to you, I just didn't talk to you. But I have something that happened to me in the Two of Hearts week I want to tell you guys. So, there's a whole lot of people at my kids' ages, like your kids' friends. I know a lot of my son's friends in their 30s, and a set of them made a wellness package. And just I want to share the concept of what they made too, because in business world that I know you're both in to grow what you're here to be, it was such a wonderful idea. So the four of them, one did a hypnotherapy session for you after finding out, what you want to do it on. One gave you your own like specific yoga class for your body and where you're at, and met with you one-on-one to do like a yoga kind of intro. One gave you an herbal like docket to fill out, and then gave you recommendations for what kind of herbal things could be used for stuff like that. And the other one gave you like a new food to make, like menus, like ideas for food and stuff. So right, what a rich offering, right? So no matter what it was, I was so happy for these girls that they were being so smart. And I was like, oh, I'm in. You know what I mean? Sure, whatever you girls want to do, I'll answer all the questions honestly, and I'll get smarter with you. Like, thank you so much, right? You're little baby millennials. You're like the grandparents. Like, I know that you come with wisdom. So then when you do the hypnosis, and that's the one that I probably have the most, experience in, she really did some beautiful things that I had not experienced before. And I would say that she did Two of Hearts work with my inner world, because when you weren't here, Gina, I spoke for a minute about the king and queen inside of me and the process I had feeling I was in this Saturn return story. And the king and queen wanting to come together. And of course, recognizing that my own internal king was the thwarter to my queen, right? It wasn't outside of me, right? It's always inside of us, right? So my internal king was thwarting my queen. So there was a real call for what that was about, right? So in the process of the hypnosis, and I know I'm being long, but I really want people to get a sense of what happened, because I was very touched by it. She asked me to identify this like essence kind of thing, right? So I certainly know who I think I am, or this idea of myself, and I have it very protected sometimes and this and that. And in essence, it was like, there's no need to protect this. Like, let's rename it and stop protecting. And I thought that is exactly what we're all living through collectively, is to let go of the protection, like stay open to that harmony inside of us, and not feel like we have to like not share or block ourselves or block someone else. Like you talked about your Two of Hearts neighbor. She's not necessarily blocking. She's just choosy. She's just real choosy, and she knows what she wants and doesn't want, but she's in it. Do you know what I mean? Like, she's showing up for the community, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
So it was a really beautiful thing to feel the concepts drift away that were some of the ones that I would use to kind of stay more analytical, guarded, aloof, just things that just made me more comfortable, right? But in truth, they were also blocking that boy and girl, male and female, king and queen, from just being in that heart-centered vibration, because I'm wearing this 3 of Hearts 52 day, and I am finding myself doing this, and we're going, wow, where's that spot that I usually have? And I've been finding that 2 of Hearts has really helped me see, where are you not in harmony inside of you, and how do you find the neutrality that you need so that you can build the foundation for whatever your legacy is, and take your journey and your numbers in whatever part of the cycles you're in. But in these weekly cards, I sense that we're all in these weeks, and we're all rebuilding and restructuring and then getting shiny again. And then, it's like constant cycles, right? So those are my stories. I just thought the hypnosis thing was such an interesting thing. And that idea of a package to kind of bring people closer to themselves, I also think is a wonderful idea. So that's
well, and the 2 of Hearts transforms into the 8 of Spades, which is a very strong card of healing and being open to different modalities. I love the 8 of Spades energy, because they'll try it. They'll resource any way to overcome. And a lot of times you will see more natural, modalities. You find midwifery with the 8 of spades. I've seen you see Reiki or acupuncture, just really being open to different ways of being able to overcome any obstacles. This is what it represents. So I love that. It's kind of perfectly aligned. And with the 2 of hearts too, like it is about those relationships, but I think, more importantly, the relationship with self, right? And being able to, what is it that you require when it comes to your intimate relationships? How do you show up for yourself intimately, then reflects back in the relationships that you have, so it is a very strong mirror.
Oh yeah, and ironically, the next day was yoga. And I mean, as much as you guys have only known me in the past 3 or 4 years, I was a big yoga girl. Like I was into yoga hard for 20 years. Like I was teaching it, living it, working it, and like I really took on the yoga's nature of life, like the philosophies for life and the music, but the physical practice. Once I started to get hurt, and I was just so afraid to get more hurt, I just kind of kept doing less and less. And just tasting it yesterday and the way that she delivered it and those longer poses and holding them, it was emotional. It's like, oh my God, I miss it. Like I loved it. Do you know what I mean? Like I'd be hanging out in the living room doing yoga while you're talking to me. Do you know what I mean? Like that was regular. Like if I wasn't dancing or doing yoga, like I was not sitting. So it's it was such a like, remember, because that's what the queen is. The queen is this playful, strong energy, and that mental brain of the king's land was definitely overpowering my like playfulness and my fear of getting hurt, so really interesting stuff. And I agree with the 8, and I agree with the resources stuff. I mean, it's my cosmic lesson, and I'm forever, I'm sitting here with you in the cards because I know the resource you are.
Yeah, and also just looking at the 2 of hearts, and kind of looking at it spread of relationships and people in relationships. It's pretty dope that together to offer these different forms of healing. And but yeah, so looking at the part, they have the king of diamonds, which is you and Venus, right? So of course excited to enjoy more of these different things. But also looking at the king of diamonds, when I look at the king, I look at a skill or something of expertise, especially when it comes to diamonds, right? Because it's a very defined and defined um, thing, or something of value, something that hidden talent or something you may find of value for people or other people, and so looking at it, I'm thinking of like all these different masters, people that have skills. Books, it says that the 2 of hearts will always find themselves around people of wealth or some importance, right? So that's kind of how I see it. Like you find yourself in an environment of people of wealth, which is their skill, the things that they bring to the table, the things that they can offer people for whatever reason, that you may be there of value. You could have been at an NBA All-Star weekend, but you're around people status or people with this amount of skill, or all these particular athletes that have this tremendous ability. So yeah, that's kind of how what was kind of going through my mind when you mentioned that, and looking at the Gina, as Gina was saying, looking at all the hearts, how they turn into spades. I wouldn't say 9 times out of 10, but most of the time, right?
I think there's only 3 that don't. I looked into that a long time ago. And I think it's all of them but 3 or 4 transform into spades.
Yeah, so
all the hearts do.
Yeah, we can kind of go through them. The Ace of Hearts transforms into the 7 of Spades. 2 of Hearts turns into the 8 of Spades. The 3 of Hearts turns into the 9 of Spades. The 4 of Hearts transforms into the 10 of Spades. The 5 of Hearts transforms into the Jack of Diamonds, which is one of the ones that don't. The 6 of Hearts transforms
Queen of Diamonds
to the Queen. Of 7 of Hearts turns into the Jack of Diamonds. The 7 of
Hearts transformed to the Jack of Spades.
Jack of Spades. The Eight of Hearts turns into the Three of Diamonds. Nine of Hearts transform to the Two of Spades. Ten of Hearts transforms into the Queen of, is it the Queen of Spades or the Jack of Clubs?
The Queen of Spades.
Queen of Spades. The Jack of Hearts turns to the Four of Spades. The Queen of Hearts
Seven
transforms
of Diamonds.
Diamonds, and King of Hearts transform to the Ace of Diamonds. It's about 4 or 5 maybe that don't transform into two spades, but the other ones are mostly into diamonds, right?
Yeah.
That's a powerful think about. That's really something. Because if you think about what each one of those journeys are, it seems like it tells a story, right?
It was one of the biggest like aha moments for myself, seeing that I transformed into the Four of Spades, and then on top of it, not even like I go from Venus Jupiter to Jupiter Venus. So I was like, why you trip every time? Like, it's like you have to really see like this shit works out for you. You get in your like it made me like really look at my life totally differently and stop victimizing myself, stop playing that role of what was me and why does my life suck at times, when really when I've looked at everything that I've been through, I've always come out better than what so I was like, what is your deal? So with that, it just connecting that was a big thing for me, a big piece of my whole puzzle.
And it definitely was fed, right? Because it's how people communicated. They complained to each other. So you grew an energy around that, right? And you got perks for like, oh, she's having a hard day. Oh, she needs help, or whatever the silliness was, right? So I really love how collectively the victim consciousness is kind of shaking off people more and more, or they're learning things like what you learned, to be like, wait a minute, what are you doing complaining about this adventure that we get to live right now? Like, that's crazy.
Even like it just made me look at, it's kind of like how when I put that together, because I remember when I first like looked into my spread and I had those 2 9s and I went right to victim, like, oh, see, that makes so much sense, you're everything you've lost. That's a rough path. But as I got more into this space and really studied and just looked at my life and went back into certain plates and times and I sat with the things, it really made me like be like, you really don't have a lot to complain about in a sense, because what you looked at as a loss was really a protection. It brought you more of what you really wanted. It's just I would get stuck in the moment. I would get stuck in what I call that tunnel. I only saw the bad. I only saw the loss. I couldn't see the light. So that's why you hear me talk a lot about the light, the 9s. You've got to really change how you view things. If not, then it made sense why the Jack of Hearts could be the card for suicide. It literally made, I was like, I see that. Because if you get stuck on the loss, so, and when I say stuck, you were stuck, like, and emotionally stuck. You're not physically, you are emotionally stuck. And that can be a very dark place to go to. And you would rather much end it than deal with the loss or the perception of the loss, because you have a hard time seeing the blessing, seeing the protection, seeing the light. So it made total sense.
Well, yeah, I mean, how any of our energies, how any person using whatever energy they are manages grief and loss has a big effect on their life force. I mean, in my experience, because at a young age I had a child and placed him up for adoption, I dealt with a grief that, forgive me for my crassness, but I can be such an ass. Nothing else could touch it. Like the other losses were like, okay, okay, oh, that, okay. Like it didn't even hit the screen, right? And not to be victimized, to say, once I experienced that loss and I had already the psychic understanding that this was happening for me, this is the last lifetime of what's going to happen, it's happening to set an imprint, this is a catalyst to open you up. Like, even as an 19-year-old girl, some part of me knew that weird stuff and was writing it in her journal, because that's what I was seeing and hearing. Whether it was making me feel better, if it was true, I don't really care. It's what happened, right? So but understanding that I had to live this to be and know what I need to know when I get to where I go. And I think sometimes the blessing of those nines is the ability to let go and grow and become. I mean, because look at the two of hearts and the kings and the even. It's not a bad life or spread. You know what I mean? And you get to stay really in your heart. And if you use your head together with your heart, you're kind of in alignment. You're right there in the cross, right in the center of everything to help it happen, right? So it's rather magical. But it's hard sometimes to manage loss because we don't really understand that it's happening naturally all the time. It's not because of you. And I think there's a way that we tell jokes about it to try to move through it. And I think sometimes that activates a connection around that kind of stuff, the trauma bonding, pain bonding. I don't know. I just know in my generation, even my mom, like she tells stories in ways that are kind of mean and she's trying to be funny.
Mm-hmm.
And I catch myself sometimes doing like going like, oh, wait a minute. I think that was that turn. Hold on, because in my generation, I grew hearing, I would like to hear, she's like just the people would just go at you with such like, don't worry about it. I'll smack you and I still love you kind of thing. And okay. It was normal. And so I don't know that has to be different. I just know that the grieving that becomes part of where we have to really let go and trust that this is happening for us and it's part of a journey that's going to take us further. Do you know what I mean? So you guys might have heard me before say that for whatever reason, and believe me, no part of my ego thinks that, oh, I'm so cool that I did this. I'm shocked that I said these things. I'm shocked when I sit and hear that this is what I did, right? But as I held that baby for the last time, I promised him, I will not be broken when I see you again. I will not be filled with guilt and shame. I will come through this and I will reclaim my whole heart. I promise you. And you do the same.
Yeah.
Like I knew somewhere that that's what had to happen. Right. And that's when you read about initiations and things like that. That's the kind of stuff in a lifetime that happens that, trust me, it changes everything. Like you're never the same. Can't be. Your innocence is now not tainted, but felt deeply of tenderness of what it is to love and let go. But I think that's also what makes us alive. And that's why I share it, because I think there's a life force that can sometimes be taken back in and held when we forget that this is all meant to flow through us and that it's okay. And it has a process. And don't get in the way of the process, like you said, Jay.
Yeah, and this is when Capricorn season, and when I look at Capricorn in spades, and I look at life and the pains of life, right, and the sorrows of life, a lot of times when you're looking at the spades, it can think of just the negatives. Sometimes, you can think of the sorrows and the pains that we go through. I always tell people, this is Earth. We wasn't put here for it to just to be heaven. Like it wasn't necessarily supposed to be the funnest ride, right? It's like you're forced into this sphere of gravity, something that is holding you down every day, right? We're not just up and flying up and away. So you're gonna have these painful moments. You're gonna have these losses of life, even going through death, looking at it. And I remember one time I was smoking a couple years back, and I was like, oh my gosh, I gotta die one day.
Well, I mean, there's the other side of it. They were talking yesterday, John and his friends, 3 of their friends all have little girls about a year old, and they all got married around the same time because they're all that age, early 30s. Everyone's kind of doing similar things. And so John was referencing when his son was born, and his wife said that when John left the hospital bringing home his son, and he had like a really brutal birth, it was intense. It was a very intense birth. He was just weeping, driving, going, that truck driver was a baby one day. Like he used to be a baby. Like that lady in that car was a baby once, like, do you realize like you were babies and now look at you, like, because he was so touched by life, the same way you can be touched by death. You're like, wow, it's so precious. Like you start there and look what happens.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the space. I think this appreciation of life, growth, they say the space represents the soil, and and out of the soil, you know, everything is planted. You know, life grows out of the soil. So whenever you're looking at the hearts transforming into space, you know, it's like this the hearts can be youth, you know, the child that is within all of us, you know, this joy that we get from it, you know. So looking
Yeah,
at
we gotta grow up.
Well, emotionally, you know, I mean, we're already
Yeah.
growing plenty, right? But we have to like grow emotionally in a way that we can like take things and let them go easy, like even in exchanges with people, right? In that more sensitive way that I might have responded, I couldn't take it. Like people would say that about me sometimes, like, "Oh, Maddie's good, but be careful. If you go at her sometimes, she'll come back at you with teeth." You know what I mean? So being able to take it is part of it, right? Because it doesn't mean anything.
My daughter yesterday, she's like, "You're," because she know I'm very sensitive. She said, "Yeah, you're a wimp." And I go, "But what do you know about me?" She go, "You're feisty. You fight." I said, "I will fight." I said, "But I probably will cry while I'm doing it, but I will fight you. Like, there's no doubt about that. I will fight." But yeah, she's like, "You're so." I said, "Okay, we were talking about her sister and how the older one is. It's why we know. Like, we were talking about like her working in like as a paramedic or as a firefighter. She does it. Isn't I could never. I would like kidnap kids that were being hurt. Like it would be a mess. I would be in jail. I wouldn't be able to I can't emotionally separate myself. It's not for me. But for her, because she's not as emotionally, wound up like I am, it's easy for her. Like she used to watch surgeries on YouTube. She's worked with, the athletic training. And I've literally have cried when someone else's kid has hurt themselves in a basketball game. I become emotional. And she's looking at me like, what is wrong with you? I can't, I'm just sensitive. For her, she's not. And so it's why she's like, I know I could work as a paramedic or as a firefighter. I don't have an emotional connection to these people. It's right. And so I could see that with spade energy, having more, like they can do that kind of work. Where I'm way too sensitive for that. Like it would never work for me.
Well, let's not call it too sensitive because that's so judgy. Like, what do you think happens inside of your character that's different than what happens inside of her character, right? Because
I feel like I take on like when and I realized it was a thing.
It's like an emotional empathy.
Basketball. I'm watching another I watched a boy. Not even the girls. I watched the boy fall. Like we were watching a game before her game started, and this boy went up to like dunk or knock the ball down, and that kid went flat down on his back, and I started to cry. And she is like, "What? You don't even know these people." I felt like I felt for the mom. As a mom, I was like, "Oh my God, I thought I would die." And when her teammates have gotten hurt, or a girl from the opposing team has gotten hurt in a game, I'm very emotionally sensitive to that. So I don't know.
Yeah, let's call a spade a spade. That's the hearts in the spades.
Right.
They're just not emotionally attached, but they have this deeper understanding of
right.
the things of life. The things that may cause trauma or be dramatic to others. They have this simple understanding. But the hearts are sensitive. They are very emotionally sensitive. I think. Let me find. Okay, 1 second. So, looking at the Jack of Hearts, even within the book context, looking at the Nine of Clubs, I just had it somewhere earlier today.
No worries.
But it just says that the Jack of Hearts has to separate themselves from emotional sensitivity. With that Nine of Clubs and that Nine of Hearts, of not letting their emotions interfere with their mind. Have some type of detachment between the mental and the emotional of life.
So then for you, if that's your Saturn card is a 3 of diamonds, that's a classroom for you too, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I have an Ace of Spades and Mercury as well.
So you don't get as attached. So you tend to be not as attached because you have that Ace of Spades and Mercury.
Um, I think it's a little different. I For me, I think I'm very sensitive as far as I sit in the 6 of heart space, so that's where my heart space is. For me, it's more about lasting relationships, or trying to keep not being detached within relationships. I think, and the 2 of hearts is my Pluto. So my sensitivity comes with, not wanting to be alone as well. But yeah, I'm not as much. I'm not. I was gonna say I'm not a crybaby, but
I've been called that. Like, don't worry about it. I literally, my own family, they're like, "You're such a crybaby." I'm like, sorry, it's
I was,
ridiculous.
and as a kid, I probably was. The Jack of Hearts is my Saturn. I was like, but yeah, the Jack of Hearts is actually my Saturn. So yeah, I have this savior mentality. I do want to help people out. I do want to save people. I can be very emotionally sensitive, to certain things and subjects. Even like Donald Trump, if or by as example, he thinks he's going to save America. Like somehow, he thinks he's the savior of the Christ coming. I don't
The
know
God complex, you know.
if y'all.
Mm-hmm.
He has a picture. If you go on his Instagram, he has a picture with him in trial with him and God. Like, like that is, I think,
I love
the thing.
that. That's a balance thing though, right? Because it sounds like you have so much life force as a 3. There's so much power you can use, right? And like I just think back to when the hospitals with the people when they have those bipolar episodes, and so often one of the things they'd say as soon as they got my sense of trust is like, I think I'm the one.
What?
I think I'm the one. I think
Who's
I'm Jesus. That's what they would say. They would have this other side of this like mess up also telling me, I think I'm the one. Like I think I'm the chosen one. I think I'm Jesus. I mean, it would happen so often and I would just crack up. It's like the funniest thing. Like, what do you mean? But it's because they felt a certain sense of their life force, their power, their direction. Like they felt this omnipotent opening at some part of their, fluctuations from here to there. And in that moment, they were like, oh, I'm the one, And I said, well, everybody is. That's the thing. And that's the part that's going to be the adjustment now. Because when you think you're that, you think you can do whatever you want, right? You're God. I mean, you can do anything. You can drive through a house. You can jump off a building. You're God. Do you know, like, but that's not the truth. It's like that Pinocchio thing where he kept dying and going back and then he couldn't go back, and he had to die. Like he had to change, right? Because we don't always recognize what we're doing when we're in those I'm this so I can kind of things. And I'm just saying when you brought it up, the idea that Donald Trump thinks like that, I just know that a lot of the humans I've met along the way have had moments that distortion. His gets fed pretty good though. Like a whole bunch of people agree with him.
Yeah, Ace is Mercury and Uranus. Right? It's like this. I think there's this humanitarian type of essence he have. Like he wants to save the world. I found it though. The Mercury in the books. This is the copy of What's Your Card, which is this book online is ridiculously high, to say the least. It is around. If you go on Amazon, What's Your Card by Arnie Lean, it's around $1,000. Aquarius did send this book out to us, but it wasn't the full context, I believe. But this is what it says about the 9 of Clubs for the Jack of Hearts. First, well, let me give you a brief description. Leadership through loving service is your natural role as you inspire others. Oh man, did it do that? It did. I'm sorry. I've been with leading service through your natural role. Just a second. Okay, here we go. Um, leading through loving service is your natural role as you inspire others through your own um, that you may be able to do this successfully. A dynamic politician or theatrical personality, you may even be more effective as a teacher, minister, counselor, or understanding parent. Of course, the loving young parent, right? But the non-club, they have more going for you than charm is indicated by the nine of clubs, which occupies the Mercury position of your life spread. Planet this card and planet suggests a cerebral brilliance which can support your heart power with mind power. Your early education efforts are likely to run into problems which may delay your mental development. If not from family interference or other outside causes, your own inability to apply self discipline is likely to make early progress slow, particularly in your younger years. The first steerings of your intense emotions needs are likely to distract you from study and just about everything. So emotional intensity can be distracting, you know. Throughout your life, you would be wise to watch what you thinking is not clouded by your strong feelings, you know.
The story of my life.
Uh,
That's
then so,
amazing. That's an energy. You and a whole bunch of other people. It's kind of fascinating the way these cards give us such themes of this nature.
yeah, and I'll go to the nine because that's another one. Another nine, spades and Venus suggests your young years through your teens and into your 20s are apt to be rather challenging. Combined with Planet of Love, this card suggests that intimate emotional considerations are apt to be the source of your greatest frustrations. A compelling need for love is apt to draw you into all sorts of romantic involvements, sexual experiments, and marriages, which may prove more burdensome than pleasurable. Sacrifices are likely to be required of you by mates and loved ones. Due to your great vulnerability to emotional matters, guard yourself against reacting to these stresses, as worry over them could have a negative effect on your otherwise good health pattern.
Makes sense. That makes sense.
So I think, the emotional complications, between, the mind and the heart, and I think the responsibility as well, like that sacrifice, not just, I don't think just for other people. I think one thing about that sacrifice, you have a six of hearts in
Uranus.
Uranus,
Mm-hmm.
it's very much so, treat me how I treat you, looking for
Mm-hmm.
that person that can kind of be as much as you give, that you can receive as well,
Yeah.
keep balance and harmony.
I have to learn. I've learned to discern, like, when they're not like, don't stay. Don't keep giving.
They're
Don't
not going
keep.
to start to give more if you give them more, right?
And that's what it's been like. Oh, you don't want me here, let me give you more of me, because I can change that. No, I'm learning, like, if it's not reciprocated, don't, like, it doesn't mean you have to be a whole asshole, because that's not something I'm even good at. But I don't have to get, like, the relationships that I've been dealing with lately are showing me, like, if like, dealing with someone who, like, seeing it for what it is one of my biggest things. Like, I'll create a whole fantasy around it and completely miss what it really is, because I feel like, again, I can save you. And I realize, I've said, I don't want to save anybody. It's not, if you want my help, I'm here for you, but I can't keep wanting to help you more than you want to help yourself. Like, that is a big thing, because yes, I can see the potential, but you have to see your potential before you know what I mean? I'm here to guide you. If you don't want that either, like that, and I've also had to learn that that's okay. That is okay. It's not a reflection of me or them. They're where I am in their life. I'm learning that, and that's a great thing, because, again, I don't want to give because it's a lot, and I know that it's a lot. It's very intense. I'm very well aware of it, and I know it can be very intense for other people who aren't ready to receive it, because they may not be in a space to receive this love that I can give, this passion that I have, because it's once I'm locked in with you, that two of hearts in Mars, like you go nowhere. You're mine.
And there's that, we talked in our circles, touching circles on Thursday, we had a new moon thing, and it was all about worthiness, right? And I think it's a worthiness that has to be recognized, you know, and when we're in a victim mentality or have a fear of rejection or that people pleasing and that way that we were used approval to know if we were gonna, you know, if we existed or not, you know, so those things like really play into our chemistry set of like how we think about ourselves, right? Because our thoughts create emotions, we create chemistry, right? So if you don't know you're worthy because, you know, something got messed up, or if you keep making a mistake and then you vibrate in that sense of rejection because you think you're making a mistake, you start not to actually be wired to receive. You just keep trying to make up for it because of the way you're thinking about it.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. That's why I love the, you know, and when you hear that, what Rashai was reading it, you know, there's that's the truth, you know, and, learning and as I've come into this space and, you know, reading about thy energy, it's like, oh my God, it makes so much sense. But at the same time, like, I love to give. That's a big thing for me. It feels good to bring you something or cook for you, or like I show my love through, have you eaten? Can I get you some food? Or, you know, that's like a love language between me and the older one. Like whenever she's mad at me, I'm like, you want Chipotle? It makes up real quick when you can bring her food. So I've learned, you know, but at the same time, especially with her, I used to pounce. I used to give my opinion. And when I realized that learning and I don't know human design very well, but just knowing that I'm a projector, when I let her come to me, it's so much better than me like going and giving her the things that I think she needs. And when she's come to me more, and she feels safe to come to me. She's felt much more safer to open up to me, and especially when she had the relationship and stuff like that. So I appreciate that I've learned how to allow. Rather, I don't have to save. I've been, you know, able to let certain things play out just because I realize like I can't save you. Some of these things you have to go through so you have a better understanding of who you are, rather than me try to fix it and never have you experience any kind of pain or hurt. Because obviously you don't want that for them, but you realize that they need some of those things to happen, especially with her being the Ace of Spades. She is going to deal with a lot of death and rebirth. So if I can teach you and guide you that this is just how it's going to be, you know, and we experienced that with one of the coaches a couple years ago. And, you know, I had to let her see when someone is removed, let it, you know, and look at the, like when that door shut, another door literally opened up for her. And I really honed in on that. That is you. That is going to be your whole life. So be prepared for doors to shut. But as soon as that one shut, look what happened. You got into a whole different organization. That is now why you have college scholarships. You know what I mean? If you would have stayed where you were, you weren't going to be able to grow. You were going to be stagnant. So that all played out exactly as it should have. And because she has those nines, you know, it is a constant, you know, it is literally a death and a rebirth with her, you know, so, and just getting her to understand that, because that can be hard for a lot of people to kind of comprehend and to, you know, let go of people that you were super close to. But realizing that, you know, the people come in for a season, a reason, whatever, lesson, a session, however you want to say it, and be able to shut that door, you know. And for her, that's actually pretty easy. Because remember, I told you how she says she has funerals in her head for people. So she goes through that process.
No, my God, I'll speak about that later, maybe.
No, you're fine. She just texted me. I got to go pick her up.
Let's go. But 3 Hearts week we're going into, correct?
Yes, very fun.
Anything we want to see? I think that's saying
I
too.
love it.
Playtime.
I love it.
Kind of play with what you learned and what you got. Yeah. So yeah,
it's very playful. It's very childlike. It can be very immature, but it to me, it's like a fire up your butt to go and like meet new people, socialize. And it can be where you're like, you know what? I want to experiment. I you know, in your social interactions, in your personal relationships, the word, you know, the lower side is the fear or, you know, being very indecisive. But I find that this gets you out and you can play and you can have fun. I'm the cosmic lesson to the Three of Hearts. So they do have to kind of get out of that immature and be an adult and grow, you know, but sometimes it can be a struggle because they transform into that Nine of Spades. So they, again, kind of go through, and that is a maturity. I look at the nines as with the kings. There's a sense of when you are able to release and let go, there's a sense of maturity, of growth that happens with you, you know? So that's why I think it transforms into the Nine of Spades, is so that it can shed some of that childlike, you know, irresponsible or immature energy. It's to grow and to mature, because it's a very it has those sevens connected, and Pluto, I believe, it has a 7 in Pluto, so you can deal with that swing, and that's where you really have to kind of ground yourself.
I agree, Gina. I agree. So then we're going to see what it brings in our stories. And I also got that great email from Bante with all the cool stuff you guys are going to be doing on Clubhouse and other places. So I hope to get my ears and heart into some of it. I really enjoyed the Zoom room the other night. I learned so much.
Yeah, it was dope.
It was really good.
Mm-hmm.
So congratulations on the forward movement there. And for sure, want to look at the Three of Hearts and see what happens. And yeah, I'm just really feeling like there's an upgrade on all of this. So I'm excited to be in it with y'all. So thanks, Rashad. Anything else for you? I see Electric Lady, hello. And J-Lo, thanks for being here. Rashad, is there anything else for you?
This week, no, not really. Yeah, I don't have anything coming up for myself. So I'm just here. Thank you all. I hope y'all enjoy it. I am starting to do readings a little bit more. I'll probably be advertising or letting people know about that. But outside of that, thank you all for just showing up in this space, and hopefully that we can give you something of value every week, and hopefully that is digestible. And if you have any questions, just let us know. Join Gina and Vante. And what's going on? Is there classes, study groups?
We're doing a Clubhouse room on Tuesday, I think at 1:30 Eastern time, maybe 11:30. I don't know. I'll post about it. I can't remember. And then we're supposed to be starting our workshops on next Saturday, the 20th. The first is going to be your sun placement and your birth card, your sun card, how they show up together. I'll post everything. It will be posted on my Guided by the Cards page for people to, check it out.
She went out. All right, I guess she had to get up out of here. All right. Was there anything for you, Madeline, as far as coming up or anything?
No, I was just texting you that I definitely want to talk to you about a couple of things that came up in my thoughts when we were meeting today, but we can talk tonight. But no, I'm excited to be more liberated into the playful part of me and letting the queen play and not have the king tell her, oh, never mind. We don't need to do that. Let's just go and read a book. It's like, no, I want to play. So I'm excited to feel more playful and see where the week brings. And thanks for always doing this.
All right, no problem. Thank you all. See you all next week. We'll talk more about the Three of Hearts. And let us know your experiences as well. Make sure you notate anything that comes up, any personal cards, you meet a Three of Hearts, or maybe even have it in your spread. So have a nice one.
Bye.